everybody. This is Jona here with Empower and Thrive, a holistic approach in business. This is a podcast series. We are today, I think, on the 15th episode. A little intro about me. I'm a social media strategist. I help well-being brands get visible across social media platforms and attract clients with a strategy and structured social media plan for growth. Today we have a special guest. I will leave the floor to our special guest, who is Gemma. Gemma, hi there.
Hello.
I will leave the introductions to you so you can tell us more what you do, what inspires you to do what you do. But for now, we will talk about quite a delicate topic, and I want the audience or the viewers, if you are not watching right now, but you are going on replay, please leave your comments and ask Gemma any question you may have about not only menopause, but the discussion we are going to have in a second. So Gemma, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. So I am a bodywork therapist, which means I do hands-on work. I've been doing that for about 16 years. And it's been through my experience and from work personal, but also with clients as well, how I've really come to the conclusion that menopause, perimenopause is actually about women stepping into their power. It's an opportunity for women to understand who they really are and to see the belief systems, or BS, I call it, whichever you want to call it, is that holds you back from being you. The social conditions, the experiences, but also very deeper to that is the experiences women have experienced for thousands of years and how we inherit all of this that's coming through the feminine line. And this is our opportunity to heal. Yet if we're not looking at it from a conscious perspective, we'll see symptoms. We'll see the physicalities that we're experiencing with menopause, which is ultimately for me, and I have so much respect for our bodies and the miracles and the intelligence that they are, is that those symptoms, anything of pain and dis-ease, is actually about the body trying to reconnect to us. It's its form of language. It's trying to say to us, you're not in alignment. You're not in truth to who you really are. You're not standing in your power. You're not in coherence, and you're not in alignment to your joy, your purpose. So it's a real powerful way of the body going, you're not going in the right direction. Listen to me. Understand me on a deeper level, and to become more conscious, because our subconscious plays out for 98% of our thoughts and actions. So we think we're in control of things. Are we really? And this is about creating space for yourself to become more conscious of why we do what we do and why we do it, and what's the energy behind it. So our body has a lot of wisdom to share with us when we start listening.
So many questions. I'm ready to go, Gemma. Really. So the structure, how I host this podcast series is like I give 3 questions to the guest, and the guest can talk and elaborate and give advice, insights, whatever they feel it's relevant to the audience. But in this case, I think we're gonna go over the 3. I'm afraid, time allowing. We started a bit late, so we might have that extra 5 minutes to chat through. So menopause. Again, the topic used to be a taboo. I remember in my teenage times that there is quite a long time ago. It was like, what is menopause? What is periods? You can't even talk. Also, it's also related to cultural experience and environment. So that also plays a different role. We are almost free to talk about, even though I think there's a lot of work to be done in terms of empowerment and how, as you mentioned, the subconscious and the conscious all together helps and brings this journey, or helps with the transformation, if I'm correct right now. But yes, tell us a bit more. How can menopause be a transformative time for women rather than something that it's there? Let's leave it there in the corner. and not talk about.
No, exactly. And I think what we need to understand with menopause is first what you're rightly saying there. There's such a stigma, there's such shame that can hang around women and her body, on so many levels. We have that from periods, menstruation, to be able to, shaming, or like, if you try and hide that you're on your period, and the shame of that society seems to bring is that is a part of the female that you're no longer needed. You've gone through your maiden, which is the young lady, you've done your mother, and now you've hit what we call the wise one, or rudely created is the crone, is you're just not needed. You come to the end of your shelf life. It's something that women feel like they need to resist and be ashamed of. And we need to get beyond that and know that this is the time when women are stepping up into their power. The Japanese call it the second spring. This is when a woman has lived life. She has given so much in terms of what she has created, and in her beauty and in her wisdom and everything that she's brought, even brought children into the world. Yet now is the time where she starts to come back into herself and go, okay, what is alignment to me? It's actually what happens through our hormones, through our brain, rather than we being focused always outwardly to how can I support, how can I give. It's not about what is it for me that I need to look for. But we have to get beyond that belief that self-care and looking after yourself is selfish. Again, it's another social conditioning that women are felt to feel if you're looking after yourself, somehow you're being selfish. And this is again detracting from giving yourself time and energy to restore, to allow your body to come out from stress, because it's stress that is the fundamental trigger to cortisol. And it's cortisol and estrogen that are on this little tussle with one another to try and bring in balance. And if we've got too much stress and we have too much cortisol, we have less estrogen. And this is when we start to see the collapse of these parts of us that we've been able to do, our cognitive thoughts, our periods, our weight gain, because there's too much cortisol, we start storing fat to store the estrogen. So there's lots of things happening to our bodies that are trying to take us away from our old patterns of giving our energy away, to being the martyr, to just pouring all our energy into others and nothing for ourselves. And the energy that sits behind that is often victim energy. For when we're martyring our energy, it's because we don't believe we're equal. So sometime in the long time of us, we may have been a victim that feels we're not equal, which then can lead to PTSD, which actually, when women come into perimenopause and menopause, they may be labeled ADHD, but it's actually PTSD, because the estrogen levels are dropping that aren't protecting the brain anymore, and trauma is coming back to be seen, to be healed, and not be carried in the body, because that subconscious, unconscious trauma is creating this subconscious underneath all of our creating this cortisol, creating this stress. So it's, there's a lot happening for us to unpeel, and it's different for everybody, but it's about taking that time to pause, to breathe, and then enable yourself to go, what is serving me? Then equally also asking, am I worthy of that? So there'd be a worthiness. Am I worthy to ask what's right for me? Do I know what's right for me? It's all these questions we need to start.
Thank you, Gemma, for talking us, for clarifying elements of subconscious and consciousness and how they link together. It's fascinating how we always think, at least I'm in the pot, so I believe people, women like me or other women out there that think we have to sacrifice. I think the female embodiment is like, we have to sacrifice. We are there to be sacrificed and sacrifice for I'm not saying the generations, but at least for procreation. If it's not procreation, it's for caring and everything that's around us. So I think those little things are quite blocking the way when we can clearly see and take care of ourselves. In different conversations I've had with podcast guests, we've touched on the topic of the self-care, right? So we forget, or we abandon the self-care like it's a luxury, especially for women who are running businesses. I think this is something quite neglected. Well, what are your thoughts on this, or how can we?
It's this, it's that belief again that you're worthy, that you always have to give, that you sacrifice yourself, and it's actually, you have nothing more to give when you aren't given to yourself. And it's like we become this old clapped out Cinderella. We have just martyred ourselves so much that we're so exhausted, and we're not meant to do any of that, and we're not meant to be like that. And it's looking at these ingrained belief systems that are so deeply ingrained in our body, in our blood, in our mitochondria. I mean, the science is now proving that trauma sits in the mitochondria, which is like the energy function for each cell. Can carry up to 50 years of trauma. So we can be carrying our grandmother's trauma, for hundreds of years ago. I mean, I personally feel it goes beyond. It can keep going until wherever there's trauma to be healed. I mean, I see that in my clinic when I'm working with people. I can be working through somebody's liver, working on that area, and there's a lot of hatred and betrayal sitting underneath that. And it's not that person's experience. It was their mother's experience. It was the abuse the mother had. But the woman who was 60, was experiencing, still holding that in her body, even though she hasn't experienced it, which was affecting the energy and the life force of her liver. And the liver is really important in menopause. This is where we feel the mood swings, the anger, the irritation, the frustration, then the hot flushes. It all sits a lot within the liver. So if that's not a happy bunny, we'll start seeing all these other symptoms coming through.
I would have never thought that the liver is that right organ when we have all these things accumulated and concentrated. Really, I always think it's like it's in the chest, it's the palpitations, the anxiety, the oxygen levels dropping, not dropping, consistent, significant, but nevertheless, those changes you feel them in your upper body, but probably it extends to the whole body as such, I believe. Yes. You talk also. I'm conscious that you are also the founder of the Infinity Health Hub.
Yes, that's me.
Can you tell me a bit more and how this links with the pussy power?
Oh, excellent. I'm glad we're talking pussy power. Yes, so the Infinity Health Hub is something that came from COVID, when we were all being shut down and told to hide and not look after, basically wait for something to help us, to save us. And for me, as a health therapist that talks about empowerment all the time, it's like, I don't like this message. This isn't healthy. Everything goes against what actually is improving of the immune system. So rather than getting stuck in fear and frustration of like, this isn't right, and just keep going, head to head with it, it's like, well, what can I create? Well, I can create a health empowerment platform that gives people awareness so they can make conscious choices to change. Because a lot of the time we can't change things unless we're aware that we can do it, when we got given options. And when choice is your power, and then awareness is your superpower. So this is what I wanted to create. I managed to get funding from the local council because I put that forward for resilience funding, and it's come to fruition. And it's basically a platform that you can get guided meditations that looks at the emotional aspects of things. So if we're feeling frustrated, if we're feeling restricted, if we're feeling lost, or we've got grief, it works through the emotions that we're running through, and how we can alchemize that, how we can move it through, how we can process it through our body so it's not stuck in our body. Which is interesting when you talked about the heart and you get it stuck in the chest. That's because the heart needs to expand. It needs to to open. We need to breathe deeper into that heart for it to be this lagoon that enables these energies to transform and to alchemize and to move through our body. So that's when it gets stuck. So we need to breathe into it deeper, but we need to move beyond the fear that keeps it tight. So that's what Infinity Health are. It's about giving people those choices about their health and what they can do from a whole broad range, from women empowerment to men's mental health, which is fundamentally important as well. We're all in this together. And Pussy Power came from 2 trips to Sardinia, which just seems to wake me up. It's just like, boom, there's something very powerful in the land of Sardinia. And when I was there, it's really, I was doing what I call my somatic movement meditations, which is where I get people into their body, getting deeper and connected and grounded, and then using visualization to help them to connect deeper, to set intentions of what they wish to create and create those neural pathways. So you become the creator of what you desire and start to connect into your power. So I initially called it Ignite Your Inner Power. But after my trip to Sardinia, it was like, no, it's Ignite Your Inner Pussy Power, because it's connecting to all that is powerful that's within a woman. Her yoni, her womb, her ovaries. There's so much intelligence that sits within these organs. And there's equally so much trauma that sits in there too. And this is, again, we need to start to connect deeper into our sacral, what we call the sacral chakra that embodies the womb, the yoni, the ovaries, our menstrual health, without the shame, because shame can sit there. And often with abuse, we carry the shame of our perpetrators, and that carries through again through generations. It's the shame that society also says that you just got to hide that area. That's only really worthy if you just want to have sex with somebody or you're going to give birth to some children. Everything else, forget about it, which is interesting as we're seeing how different areas of the world are really trying to control that right now in terms of taking away women's choice and her voice for their body. And I see this is actually on the flip side, we're getting this rising of this feminine that finds her voice. She connects her voice, her throat to her yoni, which is actually fascially connected. She starts to remember her power, her voice, her desires, her worth, and she starts embodying all of that unapologetically. And this is what I fear is the power that has been seen before and has been tried to be suppressed. Because when a woman's fully in her power, you can't control that. You can't make her look at herself, well, your eyelashes aren't plucked enough or tanned enough, or, she doesn't care. She doesn't look for anybody else's love and acceptance because she holds it in herself. That's what I call this pussy power.
That is part of another conversation, I guess. We could have another chat, or we can have it in the member community, as we spoke earlier, the Moving Forward community. I'd love to hear more. I'd love for you to host a masterclass in that regard. So yeah, it will be very helpful. So Gemma, again, so much to talk about, but here we are here for the business. So it's a business platform, and as I call it, it's a holistic approach, a digital holistic approach in business. Not to the business, actually, is different. But can we go back to the women in leadership, or women who have who are there and they are trying to get the message across social media platforms, across the digital world, who has become quite a threatening space with all the issues and the risk of banning of platforms because of the content and other things. But we are not going through those discussions right now. But how can women use or create a safe space for them, or feel the space, the safe space, the digital safe space for their messaging, for their thoughts and their personal journey?
I mean, that's really important because social media peculiarly is like a huge magnification of society, and also possibly our own beliefs. So if we're coming onto a platform where we have quite less self-worth, or we don't understand ourselves, or don't trust our voice, or we may well get experiences back to us, reflected back to us, which, I mean, I'll explain that more. If we recognize that we're energetic beings and energy attracts energy, if we're resonating on a certain frequency, we attract that. And we have to then be recognizing when we're attracting certain things, what is it that maybe, not saying you're responsible or anything like that, but what is it that maybe I'm carrying that is attracting this frequency? And it's not saying, like I say, you're deserving or anything like that, but it may be some lack of self-worth, or some subconscious belief. We're also, when we're looking for somebody to accept something about ourselves, it's not for somebody else to accept, it's about us to accept that. So we have to be really kind of, when we're presenting ourselves out in the big wide world or on social media, is what is the energy that we're putting into that platform? What is the message? What is it that we're really seeking from this action that I'm putting forward? And I do find that when you come from a very heart-centered space that's filled with self-love and self-acceptance, and you're in your truth and you're in your authenticity, you don't often get any form of negativity. You just get more acceptance of what how you've put yourself forward. And I would say, in terms of creating self space, it's being really discerning of what platforms you're using, because if there's a bigger message behind those platforms that are just simply trying to scrape data and create algorithms, and it hasn't got the the ethical behind it, then maybe that platform isn't the right platform to be on. And equally create your own space to do that isn't governed by any other body. So I'm looking with the Infinity Health Hub is to actually add on a community forum to that, where it is a safe space. And all it is there to support people to have conscious conversations. So, we may well be looking at creating our own places. If we recognize that something isn't serving us, then we create our own. And maybe we do that as a collaborative with different organizations that bring that together. So this is about seeing what doesn't serve us anymore and creating what does.
Thank you, Gemma. But what can be one tip that you can give the audience or women out there who are looking to create, to empower? If they're not looking for empowerment, they're looking to send a message that resonates with their audience. What can be one way to do that? Because it's such a delicate topic and intimate topic, as we said at the very beginning, that people don't want to share because platforms are in the digital space. So besides those little hubs or platforms that we are hosting, what can be in larger scale? What can be the solution to the larger scale?
So how they can get their message across?
Yes, to feel quite safe in talking about their own journey or their own challenges, because the topic is very delicate. So
I think it is, and that certainly from my experience, from talking about bulimia and childhood abuse, and my sort of own experiences, and being more open about what's happening for me, really comes from a space of self-love and self-acceptance of all of that. And that's how I believe we heal on many other levels as well. It all comes back to that self-love and acceptance. So when you come from that place, you can be wherever you want to be and step into whatever you want to be and say whatever you want to when you're coming from that place, if that makes sense. It's for a woman that wants to get her message across, it's about her understanding and accepting and loving all those aspects of her. All those shadow parts that she thinks are shadows are actually gold and blessings when you look at it from a different perspective. And to know that she is worthy, that she has a voice, that her voice does want to be heard when it's coming from a perspective of love and a higher perspective. It comes from fear, it won't get heard. otherwise you'll get fear back. So it's really about understanding what's the undertone of your message. But if it's there to empower, if it's passion, it's to bring more awareness to other people, then you're stepping up into the right, you're doing it right. Just take each step by step, but do it comfortably, that your central nervous system is with you as well, because you have a tendency to go, yes, I'm off, I'm doing that, and I'm pushing it, but the brakes are going, hell no. No, this is too scary, I don't like this. And so your nervous system's got the foot on the brake and your right foot's on the accelerator. You've got discoherence going on there, and your body's going to be in a whole load of stress. So you have to do the work that holds you in fear, to go, oh, it's okay. No, I know this is okay. I'm not actually going to die. This is safe. I can do this. I can move through the fear of persecution, the fear of judgment, because I really honor all aspects of myself. So each step, I just move this very gracefully, because I'm quite an impatient bugger at times, and I would like to try and push myself sometimes, but it's like, but my nervous system's going, no, this is too scary. So everything fell out of discoherence, and that creates stress, and that creates illness, inflammation. So this is about honoring all those aspects of yourself that are trying to say no, and just bring them to the forefront and go, it's okay. What is it you want to share with me? And that way you can then step up into what you want.
Thank you, Gemma. I think it's the last question for today, for this live session. So we are women. We want to empower one another, and we want to move other women, or help them move forward in life and in business, or with support, or heal from their journey, as someone in the past has healed themselves, and the process and everything around it. But my question is, would you have one little step, or the first step to taking those actions? What can be one step that
to support other women
can take today to move forward? So they are stuck. We were talking about the brakes, we were talking about the accelerator right now. So what can be one step that can make these women, yes, I'm gonna push the accelerator?
I would say, okay, this will come back to pussy power now. Okay, so this is coming back into your body, okay, and out of your head, and give yourself the permission to connect into your body. And when you do that, you're really connecting into your desire, into your passion, your soul alignment. When you can really tune into this space and bring it in with your heart, you will be able to really feel that truth and that passion. And that will be your driving force through the fears that hold you back. And I know from speaking from my own perspective, is that I had this absolute desire to empower people so much, but I had to get through the nerves of being seen. Talking to you now a couple of years ago would have been a no-go. I would have been so scared of whatever it is, like fear of persecution, fear of not being good enough. All of that was going on. But the desire to help other people was like the arrowhead. It was the spearhead for me to get through all those fears. Because if I was just doing it for myself, I wouldn't have done it. So having that passion and that drive helps you fire through all the BS systems that you're carrying that is blocking you from being your true self. And you connect into that through by being in your body, that passion and that desire from your pussy power, from your womb, your everything. That's where it sits. That then fills up your heart. It's huge. But you can go from huge moments of massive passion to then complete overwhelm. This is why you have to do the work to navigate that. But that's how I would say would be the first step.
Fantastic. I truly believe that there are ways out there, if one is willing to take a step, or the first step, the baby step, as we may call it, or the toddler step in life. Gemma, to wrap up the session, Please tell us if you have any webinars or workshops, or if you're running a masterclass or anything else that you want to share with the audience today.
Okay, perfect. Well, if people wish to, it's an invitation to go to the infinityhealthhub.com. That's where I have all my different articles and sound library of meditations. There's a free 7-day trial if people wish to use that and experience it and see if it resonates with them. And there's also what I call my Love to Heal course, online course, which goes through all this aspect of self-awareness, self-love, finding your voice. And it's a 21-day course, but it's a self-care kit that ultimately you have for life to become more aware of your subconscious patterns and your beliefs, and using meditation to create those neuroplasticity of what you actually desire. So you start breaking free from these belief systems that hold you and block you. And that's doing it through health, it's doing through your relationships, and it's doing it through work and purpose. So it's looking at your life as a whole. So that's one other aspect. And equally, there's a book out there as well. So there's a few things that people can connect with to start looking into this work. And if anyone's local to East Devon, and I've got my Pussy Power workshop, which is on spring equinox. So
that's in person then?
Yes, that's in person.
Wonderful.
That's when I hold that space for women to really find that power. I'm looking at doing that online at some point. So, but sometimes it's just really nice to have it in person and hold that space for people.
Sounds amazing. It will be amazing. I'm sure about that. Thank you so much, Gemma, for your insights, for the lovely conversation. It's quite a long conversation we must have, so next time it will be longer. But yes, I look forward to seeing you on the other end at the masterclass at some time soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Stay tuned. Next week, there's another special guest on Monday this time, because we had to skip due to health. It's Monday series, so every Monday at 12 p.m. Stay tuned to check out our guest speakers and be inspired. Well, that was it. Thank you very much. Chat soon, everybody. Thanks. Bye-bye.